follow up? No, thank you. The next question actually could be multiple choice. Monty, you'll get it first with about 7 options, with the last one being all of the above. But the question is...
I better get my notepad.
Yeah, no. The question is from Jeff Jorgensen. Which of President Obama's scandals upsets you the most?
Does it really matter? I just think it's time for him to go. I mean, we could sit here and toggle off, you know, the Fast and the Furious, the IRS, what the EPA is doing, Benghazi, and all those. But I think the thing that bothers me the most about this presidency is the absolute disregard for the rule of law and self-government in this country. I believe in our form of government. That's why I'm up here today. I believe in self-government. And when we have a president that picks and chooses which laws to enforce, that thinks he can amend legislation with an executive order, when we have an attorney general that can pick and choose, tells people, don't worry, we're not going to enforce that law, picks and chooses, we lose self-government. When we have an EPA that thinks they can define the grassy waterway at my family's farm as a navigable river, just so that they can regulate us into extinction, then we have lost self-government. I think that this president has put the very form of our government on trial. And if we don't step up and talk to our neighbors and send someone to Washington, D.C. who can hold the president and his administration accountable, then I think our very form of government, every time some elected official makes up something that was not passed through constitutional order, then we've lost a little bit of our self-government. So that's a big thing to me. It's one thing that motivates me. And if you like that, June 3rd is a little date on the calendar, circle it, Monty Shaw. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
I'm sure we all agree on this one, and it is the rule of law, not just this president, but his administration as well. Attorney General Eric Holder. You know, you look at the health care law. I thought it was bad policy, bad politics as well, bad process. And he wants to change it. And he's doing it. But that's the law. And he's sworn an oath to the Constitution. If he wants to change that law or any other law, he needs to notify folks in Congress, will you send this legislation up? That's the process. That's what our republic is about, this order, and I'll do it. I'll sign it. And just recently, this president said he's really upset about this Veterans Affairs scandal. 26 different Veterans Affairs facilities that have backlogs, just disregarded the health of veterans. He said he was really mad about that. But it took him 23 days to come out and say something. If I'm that mad, I'm going to come out in 23 seconds and start calling for heads. And I believe that General Shinseki of the VA, he needs to resign.
Well, I see 2 problems. You know, these guys are right that the rule of law is at stake, and this is not the America that we grew up with or the America that we learned about in civics class. What we're seeing is Chicago-style politics where they actually believe that the purpose of government is to go use to get their will. They'll use it to take your money to give it to somebody else, or they'll use it to just pay back friends, or whatever it is. They think that's the purpose of government, and that's just wrong. So it starts with getting a new administration to do it there, but it also is kind of a side effect of a government that's too big. We need to limit the size of this government. I give the example like in construction. If you're doing a home improvement project at home that's going to cost $1,000, you're watching every dollar. Well, when we do a $50,000 job, we're watching every $20. When we do $1 million job or a $10 million job, or the biggest one I've been involved in was a $90 million job, it's hard to watch those. So now we're watching each $10,000 that goes out the door. Well, when you're talking about trillions of dollars, nobody understands where the money's going or how to do it. We have to limit the size of the government so we can have control. Anything we can push back to the states, at least we know these states will balance their budgets. And these bureaucracies are just so out of control that nobody can control it. So that's what we got to do, is go for limited government so we can have unlimited opportunity for all of us here in the 3rd District. Thanks.
Thank you.
Everything they said, I agree with. Where do you start? What is particularly upsetting to me, and it really gets me fired up, is the Benghazi tragedy. Losing for Americans because of the negligence and the lies that are being spread about this tragedy. You know, I was raised, and I remember when President Nixon lied to the American people. And I remember the end result from that. What President Nixon did compared to what this president did in Benghazi pales in comparison. Thank you.
Joe, by far, was Benghazi. We lost 4 men. It took them 2 years to get a committee. Shameful! Because they were worried about Hillary Clinton and being called a sexist. Shameful! If we lost 4 men. Because we were afraid that we called Mr. Obama on the carpet and then he'd be called a racist. No, ladies and gentlemen. No, it needs to stop. They keep throwing that at the Republican Party. We're sexist, we're racist, we're a homophobe. And then in turn, we have a leader that does nothing because he's afraid of it. Mr. Boehner. Well, Mr. Boehner, if I win, I'm coming. Beware of Joe. Because things will get done. Because I owe it to the people of Iowa. Because you're going to vote me in. And the old folks that set our country, the old timers here, you pass the baton to my generation, and we've done a terrible job. We've done a terrible job. So we need to change. And that's where I come in. Benghazi, by far, we lost 4 men. Thank you.
Well, I also agree with my colleagues here. And since we've already been talking about Benghazi, I want to talk about 2 other scandals. The IRS going after free speech and conservatives is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. When our government uses the NSA to spy on law-abiding citizens, that's wrong. This is a government that's out of control. And it has to be stopped. We cannot allow the IRS to use its power to curtail our speech. And we can't allow the NSA to spy on us and hoard all this data, violating the 4th Amendment. We need to stand up for the Constitution. I'll do it. We need somebody who's going to stand up to President Obama and this government. And I will. I need your help to do it. I'm asking for your support on June 3rd. Let's get this government back under control. Thank you.